Daniel, overreaction happened Saturday, and feelings came from in here, and then they came out this way.
Things were said.
And many people thought, are these guys serious? Well,
It was for real.
two things are true. We were serious, and also we want to edit a few things.
We've digested a few things.
Today, we took those feelings, they went back in, they came back down, and now they fermented. And we have things to discuss next on Locked On Bulldogs.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Hello and welcome to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. I am Daniel. He is Clint. The fine folks at FanDuel are bringing you this episode today. More on them in a second. Fermented feelings today, Clint. That's it's not going to make for a catchy title on YouTube. I'll tell you that.
It does get the point across, if I'm going to be honest.
It does get a point across. I'm not sure if it's the right one. Time will tell. Thanks so much for being here. Hope you were joined us on Saturday night, Overreaction Pod. One of the most fun recordings we do all week because it really does give us a chance to get back to what this podcast is all about. We try to deliver recruiting news to you guys. We try to deliver takes on Heisman trophies and key matchups and position group breakdowns and all of that. But really what this podcast is a couple of diehard Georgia fans talking about the Georgia Bulldogs the way that you would if you had a podcast. And so the Overreaction Pod is really the pod in its truest form.
It's the quintessential fan love.
It's just getting on here and letting the feelings come to the surface. So hope you joined us for that. But today on the show, we're gonna do a little upon further review.
This isn't formal. This isn't formal apology music.
No, we're not going to apologize. We regret nothing.
But it is a little bit of maybe a second edition.
Yep. You just took another look back and you said, "Oh, things weren't exactly what I thought they were, or maybe they were." Clint, we'll clarify that today about some feelings that we had about this team, and so let's just jump right into it.
Okay.
And I'm going to lead us off with my first thought, my first
Upon
feeling.
further review, Daniel,
I saw, did Carson Beck miss a few throws, Clint, in this game? He absolutely did.
Yep.
Does Georgia have a Carson Beck problem? Unequivocally, they do not. I think upon further review, Carson Beck actually didn't play that bad in this game. And I actually think Mike Bobo didn't call that bad of a game either. But those are the two easiest guys to hunt and peck for. And so I'll start with Carson Beck. I'll let you get to the latter later.
Thank you.
Carson Beck missed a few throws, most notably one in the end zone, another one on the sideline, one down the middle. 3 I counted really errant throws. But the kid threw for 300 yards against nobody competition. I understand that. And he did have some drops. The game plan was obviously, let's get the ball to our playmakers in space early. And that simply didn't work. Now, we can talk about why that didn't work in a little bit, but spoiler alert, it's called perimeter blocking.
That's it.
And it wasn't there early in the game. That's not necessarily a Carson Beck problem. Well, and Clint, it was also Brock Bowers missed a few key blocks on the outside. I went back and watched the game again, and nobody was themselves in this game. Brock Bowers absolutely whiffed on a block on the outside, and the first play of the game, Mekhi Muse gets tackled for a loss on a little swing pass because Brock Bowers and Oscar Delp combined to block 0 people on that play. Carson Beck, I don't think is the issue. Now, Are there other exciting quarterbacks on this roster? Absolutely, there are. Are there other quarterbacks that I feel confident, were there to be an injury situation, were there to be something that happened? Absolutely, I feel confident in some other guys on the roster. Does Georgia have a Carson Beck problem? No, they do not. Do we even need to be considering a change at quarterback at this juncture? Absolutely not.
I have no problem with this. Upon further review, I second that emotion, Daniel.
Yeah.
I want to bring a new emotion in.
Well, let me wrap this point up. I wanted to give you a chance if you had anything, but let me wrap this point up. It's one thing to be frustrated with your quarterback after you maybe don't play as well as you could have against UT Martin. You tell me what's worse. Being a little upset with your quarterback after not playing well against UT Martin, or anointing Jalen Milroe as the next Cam Newton because
that was literally typed and said on the Twitters.
Because of what he did against Middle Tennessee State out here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. The next Cam Newton. You tell me what's a worse look for a fan base.
No, I know.
You may be frustrated and overreact about young Carson Beck. Fine, that's on us. I would rather be a little frustrated than watch my garbage quarterback play against a garbage team, learn nothing about him that I didn't already know, and then anoint him as the second coming of one of the greatest college football players of all time.
But he's fast, Daniel. And he's big. And he's big and he's fast.
I feel like you think you're making a point, but Alabama fan, you're not. You're not.
Upon further review, Mike Bobo is not trash. Everyone stop. Full stop.
Full stop. Stop
Full
it right
stop.
now. Stop.
I before the season began, I said Mike Bobo could become the best offensive coordinator Georgia's ever seen. Look, I went back and looked at some things. Y'all don't realize that the game plan in its entirety, the pass pro grade that we had, and you saw this beginning of the third quarter, late in the second quarter as the drive to matriculate down the field that got us a field goal started, and then third quarter and fourth quarter showed out. Our pass pro is not the problem. Our guys can get back in a set and protect the daylights out of the pocket.
Sure.
Same can't be said of Ohio State. Same can't be said for Alabama. Same can't be said for a lot of schools. But it can be said of Georgia. That pocket was clean and crisp. Run blocking was horrendous. And when I say horrendous, I mean unacceptable by Georgia standards. I mean in the 60s. Pass pro was in the 90s. Run blocking pro was in the 60s. I defy you to talk to any offensive coordinator who could do anything with an offensive line who does not want to block above average in the run game, Daniel.
Just want to move people. They just
doesn't want to move, doesn't want to get off the ball, doesn't want to have a quick snap, doesn't want to go to maul and bully people. When that takes place, it doesn't matter what running back getting hit and contacted before. You look at the statistics, the advanced metrics say as the further running back goes without being hit, the more successful play is. I know that's common sense. Like that's literally the easiest way to understand it. Yards before contact is a great metric to understand offensive line play, and we were atrocious at it, Daniel.
Absolutely atrocious. Sunday afternoon football on my television, barely classified as football, but I watched a little Rutgers Northwestern because your boy had a little money on it.
Because
and Rutgers cashed that ticket. Let me tell you that.
Ew.
Every snap. I know Northwestern's a terrible team. Are they worse than UT Martin?
Nope.
Rutgers. Should they even be in the same conversation as the University of Georgia? So we're talking about a worse team on paper, playing a better team on paper than was the matchup in Athens on Saturday. Every single play that Rutgers snapped the ball, you had offensive linemen firing off the line of scrimmage and moving the line of scrimmage at least 2 yards down the field on every single play. When you see an offensive line that's performing like that, the game plan just becomes so easy.
Changes everything, y'all. So
It does.
calm down.
We'll
We're going
get
to come
off-
back with upon further review and what else we saw this last weekend. But first, these. And these are Athletic Brewing Company, Daniel. I don't know if you understand what happens when it comes to games in which you drink things and you drink things at a clip that may be higher than you would anticipate. And when those things that you drink at a clip they higher anticipate, you trying to hydrate but the wrong thing, include alcohol, your body is not going to make it to the fourth quarter against Kentucky.
They're not.
Daniel's going to send you to the concession stand for water, and you're going to come back 50 minutes later, and he's going to be dead. Okay?
I just asked for water. Like, that's all I needed.
Athletic Brewing is the brews for you. They are non-alcoholic. And here's what's fantastic about Athletic Brews. They are brews with great taste and award-winning. They beat out full-strength beers globally. And this just it, no hangovers ever. You drink this stuff, these brews, these non-alcoholic beers, and it is fantastic. They taste just like every other beer in
Just like the
America,
stuff
but
you're
they
used to drinking.
aren't. They are brews, and they are fantastic. They're the fastest growing non-alcoholic brewery in the U.S. Get on board. First-time customers can use code LOCKEDON to get 15% off the first online order. That's code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, at checkout for 15% off at athleticbrewing.com. Near beer, exclusion and conditions apply. Athletic Brewing Company, fit for all times.
Mike
We're back.
Bobo, not the problem.
Nope.
Clint, we told you the play down by the goal line at the end of the first half. If you want to moan about that, if you want to complain about that, if you want to be
That's on him.
frustrated by that, you absolutely should be. It was horrendous. It was inexcusable. If we continue to see it, it's going to become an issue. We're not making excuses. We don't love Mike Bobo. We don't have some sort of unnatural affinity for him where we need to defend him at all costs. If he's bad, we'll say he's bad on this podcast. We have no problem doing that. We do it all the time when we see people who are bad. But you know what we haven't seen yet is Mike Bobo really, really be bad. The game plan was very vanilla.
Sure.
Georgia really struggled to execute the game plan.
Kirby came to his boys' defense, by the way, post-game presser, talking about how if we wanted to get the ball in Brock Bowers and our stars' hands more, we could have. He was coming to his boys' defense on that one because he knew the bullets that all of us, including us, he knew they were coming.
It's really like, you ever meet somebody, Clint, and they just they tell you about the thing that they're going to do. And they've got it in their head that, like, this is what I'm going to do. Maybe it's like a purchase they're going to make. Maybe it's a trip they're going to take. Maybe it's somebody they're going to date. They know that this is something I'm going to pursue. This is something I'm going to. And then you start to give some reasons why maybe it's not a good idea. Like, well, here's some evidence that actually points to, like, I don't think this would be a good purchase for you to make. I don't think you can afford it. I think it's going to ruin your credit. I don't think it's going to fit in your house. I don't think it's going to work the way that you think it's going to work. I think it's probably going to break after 2 seconds. It has 10,000 one-star reviews on Amazon. Maybe you shouldn't go ahead and do that thing, but it's already in their head, Clint.
By the way, you guys are stepping into Daniel and I's relationship with one another. At various times, we have been on either A or B side of this argumentation with each other.
And so you know as well as I do, Clint, that once that thought gets in your head,
it's done.
You can't get it out of there.
Ain't nothing I could do to stop this man from doing things once it gets in.
It's as good as done.
Correct.
This is Georgia fans hating Mike Bobo. If you're typing out "fire Mike Bobo" before this game started, you already had that loaded up before you saw a single snap of football. You already had it saved to drafts. You were going to fire it off no matter what. That's why I don't take you seriously if that's what you're out here tweeting. If you're out here defending, like saying Brock Vandegrift absolutely should be the starting quarterback because Carson Beck is uninspired and will never lead this Georgia football team, like, what are we basing these conclusions on? What is happening?
Wild conjecture. Daniel, it's called wild conjecture. And again, we were in wild conjecture feeling mode on Saturday for much of the game.
You're
And
allowed
again,
to feel things.
you can feel. But the measure of a person is when they feel things and then they come to reason and then they go, you know what? I'm going to do about face. I'm going to turn on a heel and go back to whence I came. That's what's happening. Okay.
That's right. Upon further review, the offensive line did stink.
Stunk
on Saturday.
I
and
doubled down on that.
Maintain that take. Upon further review, Carson Beck did have some struggles. Is not a problem. Mike Bobo did make some bonehead calls. Is no reason to be up in arms as a Georgia fan about that. Let me go to the positive side of the ball.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Because I went back and I watched a little game film. And I think Taiki Smith might be a dog, Clint. Like, I think he might just be like a dog. Like, I'm talking about, like, he wants to be involved in every play and every tackle.
There were a number of times during the game that I confused Taiki Smith for Bullard, for Starks. I said, oh, get it, Starks. And I said, oh, no, that's not Starks. That's Taiki coming up.
No, he's 4 inches shorter than Malachi Starks.
Correct.
But he don't act like it. He does not care one bit. Taiki Smith, and obviously, you know, injury news. Obviously, hopefully, he's going to be fine. You know, it seems like maybe he's going to be fine. You never can tell. We're assuming that everything's going to be well with Taiki. Maybe he'll be limited this week in practice. Maybe he won't be. We'll see what happens. But I really like this kid at Star. At first, I was just thinking Javon Bullard's going to hold down this safety position until Aguero is ready, which, by the way, Aguero, a lot of great experience on – it's sort of like A.J. Harris.
Much.
A lot of great experience, and not a lot of it was with positive plays. Most of it was with negative plays.
He was speaking to Kirby quite a bit.
Quite often, he was having one-on-one conversations that he wished he was not having. I was thinking Bullard was just going to be back there at safety until Aguero was ready, and then Bullard was going to slide up to his more comfortable star position. But I think you move Bullard. They made us talk in the offseason like, oh, we're going to move Bullard back to safety because it's his natural position. That's his long-term fit. That's what he wants to play in the NFL. That's what we think he's. And I thought, we'll see about that. I think it's just that they really like Taiki Smith, and they really like Taiki Smith up near the line of scrimmage. If you're going to play the star position at Georgia, you have got to be willing to get your nose dirty in the pile, messing in the run game, like diving in and taking on much bigger blockers than yourself. Taiki Smith is that dude. I really like this kid at Star. I think he's a perfect fit for this Georgia defense.
I have no problem with that. Get healthy, get back whole. I too think that's right. I'm going to stick in the secondary as well because upon further review, Malachi Starks is going to be the best safety that Kirby has ever produced out of Georgia.
That Kirby has ever produced out of Georgia.
I was specific.
I no lies detected.
I was specific. I said Kirby has ever produced
no
because
lies detected.
This dude has it all. My eyes from the start of the game before, my eyes were looking across the screen at a lot of different things, but he was always flashing. This next time through, I said, let me see if my eyes deceived me. Let me see if my eyes lied to me. If I was just doing the thing that I love Malachi, and so I'm doing a little bit of confirmation bias.
Just watching for him. Just checking for that 24. Yeah.
I was not. No. That dude came with absolute abandon downhill on every play. He was in coverage and had technique with the coverage. Some guys in the defensive backfield just get based off of anticipation and raw athleticism. And that gets you a far way. I understand. That gets you a lot. This guy has now year 2 already. This is why I say he's going to be the best that Kirby's ever produced, because already in year 2, he has the technique and the angles. If you want to talk about defensive back and how to play it well, angles are the thing that you get talked about. Watch any game in which there's breakaway runs and there's runs for big gains of 20, 30 yards. It's typically because DBs have taken horrid angles to the ball, to the pass catcher in route. Malachi ain't doing that, Daniel. They are crisp. It's like an NBA player that has 0 wasted steps on the floor.
Yeah.
You go, if you find guy down at the Y who played a little D1 ball, didn't get anywhere, but he was maybe the 12th man in the rotation, he still has 0 wasted steps on the court. Daniel.
Yeah. He's out there just running games at the Y. Yeah.
Okay. That's what Malachi Starks is. And he's the real deal. Upon further review, this guy's it. And he is going to be the heart and soul of our defense this year.
No lies detected. Absolutely. The secondary is quite good. I definitely think there are still some things I'm interested to see. We'll talk about those as we move throughout the week. But the secondary is very good. All right, we're coming back. We got more thoughts on last week's game right after these.
And these are FanDuel. Daniel,
How much
NFL
money did we
seasons,
make over the weekend, Clint?
we made some coin.
Profitable weekend, fellas.
We were
Profitable
fine because, again, Northwestern had no shot at that game. Ohio State, Indiana, the under was there from the moment the snap went. Tennessee in the first half, that cashed.
How about Penn State, James Franklin not covering the spread? West Virginia has no timeouts left. They're on the goal line. They could take a knee to win the game, and he throws a touchdown pass so that your boy can cover and James Franklin can prove yet again that the man has no soul whatsoever.
Soulless.
I absolutely couldn't have been happier. I thought that money was dead and gone, but there it was. FanDuel is the sportsbook that Clint and I trust. It is the official sportsbook partner of the Locked On Bulldogs and the Locked On Podcast Network. Go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn, and they're going to give you free money. We've said this many times. New customers, you bet $5. They're going to give you hundreds of dollars in bonus bets.
200 bonus bet.
$100 in bonus bets. That's free money that you can use to wager. Guess what? You wager that money. You win. That's your money. You then cash that money out, and you're home free. FanDuel.com/LockedOn, the official sportsbook partner of the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. Make every moment more at FanDuel.
By the way, Daniel, we did not scare off the $199. As a matter of fact, the $199 endeared itself to us more. If you're not
out in full force.
If you're not aware, by the way, Gurf, we coming for you at that tailgate at Kentucky.
Be ready.
Gurf has said, find me. Where in the world is Gurf?
He's going to be wearing a red and white striped shirt. Should we just look for the guy passed out in the gutter? Like, what will be a sign? Give us a sign. I mean,
he'll have a buckets and bottles t-shirt on,
covered in vomit.
And duct tape will be the bucket. It will just be duct tape over the bucket, vomit over the bottle. If you're not part of the 199, congratulations. You're here, loyal third segment listeners. Bonfire.com/store/the199. That's where you can go get our merch and be part of us. We love talking for fans, by fans, which is exactly what we're doing right now. Daniel, I watched again.
Yes.
I went back and I wanted to see the running back situation.
Okay, let's revisit that situation.
I was concerned.
We were pretty hard on the young men on Saturday night, Clint. You used some words that pretty tough on the young men.
I was a harsh teacher, grader.
It was a tough critic. Yeah.
I'm going to temper it a little bit.
Okay.
But I'm going to stick with my hard line that so far the running backs give me a lot of concern for this offense. Now, the temperance is because the run block grade was so pathetically low. It was just sad. Okay. This is where running backs need to have the thing that many dog fans got on me for, because Zeus was a dang good dog.
He sure was. And you didn't come around till very late.
Very late. And it was when he got his eyes up, started seeing cutback lanes, and had a vision. Because, Daniel, this is why Garrison Hurst is still one of my favorite running backs. Vision. Not the most athletic and not the biggest physicality guy, but vision. I did not see vision. Now, they didn't have much chance to see the vision at all. Like, this
linebacker in their lap.
Okay. So I'm going to pause. I'm not going to take it back. but I'm going to pause what I said, and I'm going to wait until next week. I'm going to give them another week, another try to say I would like some vision. There was one breakout, bust out run off tackle that the vision was there and scampered about. This running back group has straight line speed. That is no doubt. We got size and straight line speed. Those two things in abundance. Wiggle, vision. I'm going to pause judgment until next week because of how bad the offensive line played in run block scheme.
I don't mean to end on a down note. But
he does, by the way.
Here. It's just us here. It's just us here. What?
I'm giving him a hug.
If you're watching on YouTube right now, my apologies to you. We take it back. We don't mean any of it. We're sorry for the people we've offended. If you're listening on audio, I don't know if I could sell you on subscribing to the YouTube at this point, but I know what I could do. If you're watching on YouTube right now, go subscribe to the audio version of this podcast. Then you'll never have to see Clint do that again. And so I can guarantee that if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you don't have to watch that. So that's a great thing you can do for you boys.
It's good.
It's a name we didn't get to on Saturday. Well, we did. We touched on it briefly. I don't want to talk about the whining about the pass interference calls. That's not what I'm going to talk about. That's not what I'm going to talk about. I'm concerned, Clint. And I've been sitting on this. I've been thinking about it. I've been really considering it. It's not a hot take, an emotional take. I'm concerned that Aryan Smith is fast. End of the descriptors.
There's a period there.
Period. And now we move on. I'm concerned that Aryan Smith is not a receiver. That he is fast and can catch the ball when thrown to him on occasion. I don't necessarily know that is the case. I don't have enough data, I don't think, to make that assessment. But I will just say it is beginning to percolate as a concern for me. And here's why. Because Aryan Smith is a guy that Georgia, I think, was really counting on to step up this year. At least Georgia fans were counting.
It was abundantly clear by game plan, Daniel, that the coaching staff believed that to be the case.
That's right. The coaching staff was on Colin's side, and it did not work out favorably for any of the parties involved.
One of those people got annexed to an island.
I think only in terms of his server, only in terms of his proxy server, where he's trying to convince people, convince the internet he is. But we'll discuss it at a later time. Aryan Smith, I don't know if he has it, and that's not great for Georgia because what Georgia has got guys like Muse, guys like Dylan Bell. They've got guys who can go out, make plays in space, are good with the ball in their hands. They certainly have Brock Bowers. You'd like to think Rosemary Jack Saint's going to be back. You'd like to think Ladd McConkey's going to be back. And certainly those are bona fide wide receivers. But with a disappointing performance from both Aryan Smith and Dominic Lovett on Saturday, I don't know that Georgia has enough guys who can just run routes, get open, and catch the football.
Yeah,
run blocking is going to be this bad. We're going to need to get chunk plays through the air, and chunk plays through the air can't just come in one or two ways. Little swing pass and run after the catch, or bomb down the field.
Yep.
We need these intermediate wideouts.
Okay. By the end of the season, Daniel, let me tell you the starting three rotation.
Here we go.
I don't need to tell you two of the names. I just need to tell you one of the names.
All right, Ladd and Rosemary.
Okay, I don't care. Whatever.
Okay. Yep.
Because CJ going to be one of those three, Daniel.
Ooh-wee.
By the end of the season, CJ might end up messing around and being second on this team in receptions.
Uh-oh. I had a similar thought potentially about Ra Thomas. Clint, I'm not here to give up on Dominic Lovett, okay?
No.
He had a terrible game in his debut for the Georgia Bulldogs.
If it touches both your hands, you must
in
bring
the
it
end
in.
zone, you have to
Must bring it in.
It's a lot more. I mean, Georgia fans freaking out about winning a game 49 to or whatever 7, but it's just if some of these drops aren't dropped, if some of these catches are made, because like we're talking about third downs drops,
Yes.
we're talking about end zone drops.
We have a lot more bottle instead of bucket.
There's just it's a different feeling for this game. If some of these drives are extended, some of these balls aren't dropped. And did Carson Beck throw the ball great? No, he didn't. He was behind a couple of receivers. He overthrew some receivers. There were some bad throws out there. Maybe 4 or 5 really bad throws. But these receivers didn't do him any favors. And Aryan Smith and Dominic Lovett, these are 2 guys that Georgia was depending on
to
be dudes on this team.
Gotta have it.
You gotta step up. I will be watching come Saturday for more.
It has been Locked On Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We will see you all tomorrow and every day henceforth. We're in season. We'll see you guys then.
See ya.